Welcome back, guys. Today we have another video based on the NBA. So if you don't know, the free agency signing has just started and it's starting to get underway. A lot of craziness has happened, especially during yesterday, July 1st, which was also Canada Day. Happy birthday to Canada. A lot of free agents have now signed with other teams. And right now we're going to be going over the ones that are most impactful and probably the most important ones to the certain teams. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So starting off, Dorian Finney-Smith has now signed to the Houston Rockets. Now this is kind of interesting because it's kind of weird. I honestly thought that he was going to stay with the Lakers, considering that Luka was traded to the Lakers, but he's moved to Houston now. Now, for Houston, this probably looks like a more defensive-minded team than anything. And also to add to Houston as well, Clint Capella is also returning to the Houston Rockets. I'm guessing as a backup center because Şengün right now is the center, the starting center for the Houston Rockets. So that's definitely good for Houston. They have more size, they have more defense, they have probably better interior defense, I would say, because he can defend a lot. The next one is D'Angelo Russell. He has officially signed with the Dallas Mavericks, and he's teaming back up with Anthony Davis when both of them were on the Lakers. And now this is better for the Mavs because this also helps replace Kyrie Irving. Now, if you don't know or you haven't even been paying attention at all, Kyrie Irving recently tore his ACL. Well, not recently. It was 4 months ago or something. He just tore his ACL, and they needed a point guard to help replace Kyrie for a bit while he's rehabilitating his leg. So this is definitely a good look for the Mavs. They finally got back a point guard, and that's good. The downside of it is that D'Angelo Russell, he can sometimes score like 25 points a game, and then the next game he'll be scoring like 10 or 8 points. The one thing that he struggles with is efficiency. That's one of his biggest issues. It's been one of his biggest issues. And, he over this offseason, he's really got to work on that. You know what I'm saying? And now, moving on to another one, Bruce Brown has signed back with the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is good in a way because Bruce Brown, he was an NBA champion with the Denver Nuggets. He was a very efficient player. He was very good with them. He helped them. He really did contribute a lot when it came to winning the NBA championship. So this is definitely good for them. And while we're adding on to New Orleans as well, Kevon Looney, who was formerly a Golden State Warrior, has officially signed with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I don't know how to feel about New Orleans, honestly. They're kind of all over the place. They just got Jordan Poole, and now Zion Williamson, who's recently been dealing with a lawsuit right now. That's kind of iffy in a way. And they traded CJ McCollum. That's not exactly great as well. I forget who they traded for. But, New Orleans, it's definitely going to be a bit interesting. You know what I'm saying? And next, Cam Johnson was traded to the Denver Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr. Now, I feel like everyone saw this coming. It was time for MPJ to get traded. He struggles a lot with efficiency. He barely passes a lot of people say that he barely passes the ball. I've seen him pass the ball. Yes, he passes the ball, but barely. He is a lot of a ball hog. So this is a lot better for Denver because Cam Johnson, he can shoot, and he is a pretty efficient offensive player. So that's definitely good for Denver in a sense. And now Karis LeVert, he has signed with the Detroit Pistons. Now, Detroit's season from last year was probably one of the best seasons they've ever had in a while. Basically because the year previously, they had the worst record in the league. They had a 27-game losing streak, and they were just awful. And then this year, they bounced up to the 6th seed and made the playoffs. And they ended up winning 2 games out of the 6 that were played in New York. So that was definitely good for them. And that finally ended their losing streak in the playoffs. So adding Karis LeVert is definitely going to have a lot more depth to it. Who knows who else is going to be signed after, but I can already tell you who's going to be signed to like other teams and whatnot. But that's not the point. So next up, Brook Lopez. He has been signed with the Clippers. Now this adds more size, and this adds more defense, more rebounds, all that kind of stuff, more interior defense. This is a loss for Milwaukee though, because Brook Lopez was a huge contributor to the Milwaukee Bucks as a whole. He definitely had a lot of defense to give out. He was a big contributor to the 2021 championship run. So letting him go like that, it's definitely sad to see. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens with the Clippers. Let's see how he and Ivica Zubac can work out. And that's all we can really do. The only thing we really can do is just watch and see. And now moving on, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the cousin of SGA, he has officially signed with the Atlanta Hawks. Now, Atlanta's looking a lot more interesting. Not because they're going to probably make the play-in again, but because they also traded for Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn. So this is definitely going to be a lot more interesting because now they got Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, if he stays healthy, and now Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So that'll be a lot better for them. Jordan Clarkson next up is expected. I don't think it has been done yet. He is expected to sign with the Knicks. So once they get him, or if they get him, if he signs waivers, it'll increase the offense with the Knicks, and it'll add a lot more depth to it as well. And while we're on the subject of the Knicks, they have also recently just acquired or signed or hired Mike Brown, two-time coach of the year, and a four-time champion, I'm pretty sure, as well, as an assistant coach. Now, there's a good side to it. They finally got a coach. But the bad side is he's more of a defensive-minded coach. Whenever it comes to offense, he's normally like, do your own thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely good that the Knicks got a coach back, but it kind of sucks considering that he's more of a defensive mind coach. And this one is a little interesting. It's actually not about the players, it's about coaching. Now, JJ Barea, the guy who was a part of the Dallas Mavericks, he has officially joined as an assistant coach for the Denver Nuggets. That one I just wanted to throw out there because I thought that was really interesting. And Garusan Yabusel, the guy who dunked on LeBron during the Summer Olympics, is signing also with the New York Knicks. This definitely adds a lot more defense to them because, I didn't really watch a lot of Philly. I'm not going to say I really watched a lot of the games because Philly was awful this year. But definitely this adds a lot more depth for the Knicks, a lot more defense. It'll be a lot more interesting for the Knicks this year. And now this one, Miles Turner has officially signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now this is a huge bummer for the Indiana Pacers, not because Halliburton has also been out with an Achilles injury, but also because of this, probably a lot of Indiana fans are punching the air right now, seeing him go to the Bucks after they just went to the finals. That kind of sucks, losing one of their key players. But for the Bucks, however, this adds a lot more defense, a lot more size, and shooting. Because if you don't know, Miles Turner, he can shoot. He can shoot the ball pretty well. And this one is kind of sad. The Bucks have waived Damian Lillard. Now this one kind of sucks because if you also think about it, Kyrie, he went through a what's it called? I forget what it's called already. He signed with the Mavs for like 3 years, 100 something mil, and after his injury, and Damian gets waived after getting injured. Now that kind of sucks. We'll have to wait and see what team is willing to pick him up. I highly doubt he's going to get a team this year, but we'll just have to wait and see. And now, Jonas Valanciunas is being traded to the Denver Nuggets for Dario Saric. Nothing more to say. The Denver Nuggets are really cooking this one. Because this is all, keep in mind, this is all in 24 hours, by the way. And now this one, Dennis Schroeder has signed with the Sacramento Kings for $45 million. Honestly, if you ask me, that's like terrible money. That's terrible. 45 mil for someone who, again, is not an awful player, but considering that it's Sacktown, it's no surprise. They're really just probably asking for players to come to the team just to play because, again, they're probably never going to make the playoffs again, so it's really no surprise. And now, going up north, the Toronto Raptors have re-signed Jakob Poeltl to a $104 million 4 years. Now, Jakob Poeltl is a really good player because I'm also one of those guys that's from Toronto as well. He's a good player, but this is kind of worrying for the Raptors. They have 4 players: Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram, and now Jakob Poeltl, who have contracts that are over 100 mil. That kind of looks bad, and I don't know how they're going to be signing other players. That's kind of interesting that they were willing to give away that much money to a guy who does put up pretty decent numbers. Don't get me wrong, but again, that is a lot of money that you're giving someone who's not really considered the best. I love Jakob. Jakob, if you're watching this, I love you, but again, you deserve to be with the Raptors. Absolutely, you contribute a lot, but this is just my opinion. 104 million is a lot. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot. And now Tim Hardaway Jr. has signed with the Denver Nuggets as well. So that's 4 players: Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas, and now Tim Hardaway. Denver's just cooking within this first 24 hours. And now 3 notable signings that have just happened. Jabari Smith Jr. has signed for a $122 million with the Houston Rockets for 5 years. That's another good upside for them. Gives them more shooting, gives them more offense, gives them more interior shooting, defense, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And next up is JJJ, who has signed a $240 million contract for 5 years as well. And last but not least, SGA, who just won the championship after just winning the MVP, the scoring title, and finals MVP for both conference and finals, has signed a Supermax $285 million contract for 4 years. So he's going to be making a lot of bank right now for these next couple of years. And we'll have to see if OKC is going to be able to repeat because they are still looking pretty good. Hopefully they don't get injured in some sense. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. Comment down below which signing do you think is the best? Which one do you think is going to help the most for which team? And, I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.